No decade better represents minimalist fashion than the 1990s. In backlash to the loud, larger-than-life styles of fashion in the 1980s, 90s minimalism was much more cognizant of the body. The pared-down silhouettes emphasized long, clean lines. There was restraint in design and a focus on simple, well-cut, androgynous clothing with a reduced color palette. It was designers like Tom Ford at Gucci, Donna Karen, Calvin Klein, Helmut Lang, and Miuccia Prada that transformed these concepts into a wearable reality.
The 80s were over, and the 90s, to me, represented something different, something more natural, something less flashy.
Designers opted to streamline the garments, drawing the eye vertically up and down. Clothes were simple, less glamorous, more modest, and embodied the quiet luxury theme, which is extremely epitomized today.
I have to talk about Tom Ford and line. The man has such a definite line. He's very precise about defining a silhouette and making a silhouette clean and spare and very chic.
Fashion changes. Every season, you try to justify what you do, but the ultimate thing just has to be, does it look right? Does it look great for now? So, fashion changes. When something starts to lose its shock value, it starts to lose its fashion value, because then you don't feel new in it anymore, and you have to change it, you have to move it. So the hip hugger pant, as much as I love hip huggers, I'll always love hip huggers, it looked great, but, it lost that shock value, so it had to move. People don't really buy something that they can only wear, at least not something of the quality and price of the clothing that we make. You don't buy something that's you're only going to be able to wear for 6 months. You buy something that you're going to be able to wear, use in the summer, use in the winter. People use clothes in a different way. They buy clothes now almost the same way they buy accessories.
Let me tell you one thing. When you have style, you can wear sable to church if you know how to pull it off. Why can't someone go in the middle of August in velvet and snakeskin boots? People who have the confidence and the individuality can wear anything, anytime they want. That is the girl at Gucci.
It was Gucci that put a feminine, sultry twist on the harsh masculinity of minimalism, while other brands like Prada continued to innovate in a more clean-cut sense.
Oh, love Prada. Yes, let's talk about Prada. What Miuccia has always done is really sort of take the absolute classic item of clothing in your wardrobe and reinvent it in the most modern, directional, futuristic, functional way.
I think virtually every season she comes up with something very unexpected and jarring.
I would say that Prada is really what I am. The philosophy is the same. I think that is your person, is your feeling, is your culture, is your way of having memories and remembers and desire of being different. But has to be something that really comes from inside. So this is what I think about. It's not from outside, it's really from inside. It's more inside collection than a design collection.
Miuccia always leads the pack. The minute people catch up to her, she goes and does something else again, and she's always one step ahead. She doesn't care what everyone else is doing, and everyone will continue to follow her.
Miuccia really thinks things through. She is making a point. She's not just making clothes.
For several years now, the Prada bag has been the accessory of choice for fashionable people in the know, most notably fashion editors, buyers, and top models.
Prada's originality made it one of the most influential fashion houses of the 1990s. At the beginning of the decade, the clothes were more glamorous and feminine, but towards the middle and end, clothes began to get more masculine and utilitarian in style.
The uniform for 96, according to DKNY. Tailored coat jackets worn with bootleg pants in soft autumn colours. Plus mixes of texture in calf hair, suede and velvets for more of an eccentric edge. And plenty of satin in subtle shades of greys and iced silver. Looking at what we saw on the catwalk tonight,
Can you talk me through it a little bit about the shapes and the styles? It seemed to be a lot of it quite silhouetted for the slim woman. Was there anything there for the bigger girls?
Absolutely. Because of the cut of the jacket, interestingly enough, it cuts for that exact customer. It is deceiving because as opposed to being oversized and big and boxy, it kind of works with the body. So even though it looks deceivingly slim, it A's out a little bit.
90s minimalism was not only influenced by the designers themselves creating the beautiful clothes, but by celebrities and supermodels alike. People paid attention to what they were wearing, whether to a red carpet event or their off-duty street style. They were noticed, and their style was then emulated by the public. The glamorous supermodels of the late 80s and early 90s certainly left their mark on the modeling world and the fashion world itself.
I think it was the time when the whole notion of the supermodel became utterly inescapable and irresistible. Editorially, they were dominating magazines, and Versace actually was the first designer to recognize their power under the influence of the woman who was then editor of British Vogue, Liz Tilberis, who suggested to him that he use the same girls in his show as he used in his advertising, and put that together and you've got a real double whammy.
I did black mixed with red, yellow, green, orange. Every color mixed well with black. It's a very, very happy black.
This is the kind of thing that when people say, oh, I miss the supermodels, this is the kind of thing they're talking about. The transformation of Linda Evangelista there with her platinum blonde hair, Christy looking unlike she'd ever looked before, Cindy looking like a tigress that had just been unleashed from her cage. It was a moment where the incredible power of these women was totally inescapable, and Versace capitalized on it by grouping them on the catwalk. It wasn't, one girl at a time. There'd be serried ranks of them marching down like queens of outer space, just looking to absolutely crush everything in their paths. The girls all ganged together, mouthing along to the George Michael song that they'd mimed to in the video, Freedom 90. It was just like such a wow moment. I think these girls, they symbolized a whole era in a way that fashion models never had before.
The eminent fame of the supermodels soon began to grow larger than life, commanding more attention and fame than the clothes or the designers themselves. And because of this, for many in the fashion world, something needed to change.
You read about it that a model gets $20,000 to walk down a runway, or 15 or 10, whatever it is, and you think, geez, what are they doing? They're just walking. I mean, why should anybody pay anybody for that? You can't always tell at a good collection what a model does. You can sure tell at a bad collection what a model does. You put a gunny sack of galoshes on Naomi and she comes walking down a runway, and you understand why a model gets paid. I mean, the dress doesn't come with those hips.
When 7th on 6 was launched in the fall of 1993 in an attempt to concentrate all of the New York fashion shows into one location, everyone might have seemed happy, but a lot of models were steaming mad. In a cost-saving measure instigated by the Council of Fashion Designers of America, top models were asked to accept a maximum wage of $750 an hour, well below their usual fee of $10,000 a show. The alleged salary cap set off a lot of arguments about how much money a top model is really worth.
Supermodels are not overpaid. I can't say that they are underpaid, but I don't think that they are suffering in that department. But I think it's totally unfair for people to gang up on them after having used them for so many seasons, depended on them for imagination and vitality, and then suddenly say, oh, no, let's take the prices down. I think it's unfair.
These models do everyone's show, wear everyone's clothes, and get paid $10,000 a show or $10,000 a day. Those costs are reflected in the price of the clothes. And in the end, people are paying for those models' fees. I think it's time to change.
Well, you know, we don't need to do shows. Shows really were only great to do because of the money. And so I think rather than to go through all the chaos and exhaustion, I'd rather go shopping and spend the money that I'm not earning.
Designers now will hire models at their own prices, and we'll go forward into the next century with models either at 500 or 1,000 or 2,000, but it'll be the designer who makes that decision. I mean, they'll get as much money as they're worth, and if they're worth $2 million, they'll get $2 million.
By 1994, there was a shift away from maximalist glamour, and designers opted to use new models with a clean, fresh look, to put an emphasis back on the clothes and not on the models.
Everyone says that you represent something, that the waifs were an answer to the Amazons of the 80s, and that you're 90s.
For like 2 years, I did like go-sees and worked for no money. I was always borrowing money from my mum. She was beginning to get fed up with it and started telling me to get a job, proper job and stuff like that when I started to work, so it's just as well I kind of stuck at it.
Models like Kate Moss, Amber Valletta, and Shalom Harlow rose to the top during the minimalist awakening.
I think a waif of fashion is a young girl who is slightly small in size with a low-slung derriere that looks like a third-rate shop girl in a film like My Fair Lady before the late Audrey Hepburn was transformed into the glamorous ultra Miss Doolittle.
Speculation on some fronts that the popularity of all these new girls is a result of the fashion world becoming bored with supermodels, some of whom are said to have become highly overpaid and painfully conceited. In fact, some feel these waifs are in the process of pushing these modeling stars right off the runways and straight into early retirement.
One of them said we don't get out of bed for less than $10,000. And I think this has finally rubbed a lot of people up the wrong way.
There's enough work for all of us. I still have Vogue covers coming out. So do the other girls. So do all the other supermodels. We're not dead. It's really sweet to see all these new girls coming up. I don't know, people think we're threatened, and we're not at all.
I think this whole thing about new faces and superstars is silly because these girls worked really hard to get where they're at, and we've worked really hard to get where we're at, and in 6 months' time, there won't be a difference, I promise you. It's going to be who does the best job.
But still, the models that came before, like Naomi Campbell, Christy Turlington, Claudia Schiffer, Cindy Crawford, and Yasmin Ghouri, continued to be style icons throughout the decade. When it came to everyday 90s minimalism, they opted to keep their silhouette straight and streamlined. Wearing slip skirts and dresses, straight-legged pants, and long fitted skirts were essentials to achieving the effortlessly chic look. They wore relaxed suits, leather jackets in a fitted form, and tailored pants and skirts. Neutral tones were a popular 90s choice, as they showcased a laid-back, seemingly effortless approach. Although the items of dress were simple, women looked put together and sophisticated. One could tell that the clothing was made of high-quality materials, where the fabric and cut of the garment spoke for itself, as opposed to any patterns or intricate designs. Expensive materials like cashmere, wool, leather, suede, and silk were popular choices of the day, and most followed a color rule, where they would wear at most typically 3 colors in their entire ensemble. We can see Christy Turlington wearing the colors of blue, purple, and black, all in different shades. The biggest street-style muses for 90s minimalism were Kate Moss, Gwyneth Paltrow, and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy. While others were looked to for style inspiration, it was those 3 that led the pack. Clothing was pared down, and elegance was the order of the day. Clothes became more universal and became easier to mix and match from day to night and with various different pieces. No couple seemed to define minimalist, clean-cut, futuristic dressing better than Brad Pitt and Gwyneth Paltrow. They possessed a certain casual, carefree aesthetic to them, further exemplifying the casual approach to dressing. Gwyneth's evening looks were always well-fitted to the body, either in a structured fashion or in a very free-flowing one. We could still get a sense of her silhouette. Her favorite colors to wear were black and white, and she enjoyed wearing clothes from brands like Prada, Versace, and Calvin Klein. One of her favorite accessories seemed to be her leather blazer. She wore this with evening looks and day looks, and it went perfectly with her leather trousers as well. To achieve the 90s minimalist look, one must understand that the clothes need to be fitting well to your own body shape and size. These elegant clothes were never too tight or excessively large, and it was because of that reason that they had a classic essence to them. While it was Gwyneth and Brad who were more carefree and casual, it was Carolyn Bessette Kennedy and JFK Jr. who took minimalist fashion to the level of American royalty. Carolyn's style was elegant, pared down, and simple, and she knew how to perfectly pair classic pieces with modern ones to create a harmonious result. Black was easily Carolyn's favorite color to wear, not only because she lived in New York, but the color created a striking contrast to her features. All of her clothes, whether it be her shirts, sweaters, skirts, or pants, had a mix and match ability to them. Because they were streamlined and solid, they were able to be worn on multiple different occasions. Her dresses also had a unique universality, doubling as work attire and even date attire. Carolyn's favorite brand for evening wear was Yohji Yamamoto, and over the years she was seen in his clothes time and time again. He crafted his clothing in a more avant-garde approach to minimalism, with his garments often featuring more shaping and structure than the typical norm of the day. They were still cognizant of the body and were very flattering. Thank you so much for watching this video all about 90s minimalist fashion. Don't forget to like and subscribe to never miss another video. And tell me in the comments who your favorite style muse and icon of 90s minimalism is, as well as your favorite brand from this decade. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.